Very good evening, all of you. Welcome to this Jnanavadini seminar, which is presented by Mr. Rajiv from DNV. It's my privilege to introduce him to our forum. Rajiv, fondly called as basically a computer science engineer based out of Bangalore, coming with 25 plus years of experience. Currently, he is the business head, ICT, Information Communication Technologies, for India and Middle East operations of supply chain and product assurance with the DNV. DNV, I'm sure all of us in the call aware of, which is one of the leading certification body for many of the management system and other standards of ISO, etc. He started his career as a faculty in Kerala University. Quite interesting, many of the IT folks starts their career as a trainer, and Rajiv is also in the same way. Later, he moved on to banking technology and worked with the Punjab National Bank in various positions for almost 9+ years. His expertise areas, very quickly to say, on software development, core banking technology, information security, cyber security, and privacy related areas. He moved to DNV in 2007 and executed various responsibilities with the DNV, including of a technical resource. He has conducted more than 2,500 days of management system audits and 200+ man days of training, days of training on various topics. Very well-known recognized person in the IT industry, I would say. And I can also say with the privilege that I have a kind of close association with him since 2015 for almost 6 years plus now. Very interesting person to work with and very highly knowledgeable. Without further wasting time, Rajiv, floor is yours, and I request you to share your today's topic on FDPPI DNV collaboration. Thank you. Rajiv, it's yours.
Thanks, Ramesh. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for extending this opportunity for me and to handle this session. And for that, thank you very much to you as well as to Navi sir. And again, see this particular session which we are going to have. Normally, we will have it on. Every Wednesday we have the technical sessions, but this particular session will be slightly different, and it may not be a pure technical session. And here we are going to talk about our collaboration with the FDPPI. And so first, even I was discussing with Navi sir also before this presentation, actually, what we should present, because it will be because you are all FDPPI members, and so there is no meaning in explaining anything about the FDPPI or PDPSA. So we are all familiar to those things. So what we do is, because this is a collaboration with the FDPPI and the DNV. So I will tell you what DNV is. As Ramesh said, actually, we are into certification and other things, but we are something beyond that. And I will explain you our capabilities again, not as a marketing or any other things. I will just explain you what exactly in which areas DNV works, and then why we need to this collaboration and how we are going to take it ahead to the markets. Okay, so that is the objective of this entire session. So with your permission, hope this is visible to everyone. So now I will start with a quick introduction about what is DNV. So DNV, many of you knows what is DNV, but just to reiterate, it is an independent assurance and risk management company, and it started around 157 years back. So that means around 7 years back, we celebrated our 150th anniversary. And right now with 12,000 employees, and we have more than 100,000 customers, we have presence in around 100+ countries. And DNV is an organization, actually it is not for profit organization. That means our primary objective is not to make money or not to make profit. Definitely, we need money in order to sustain us and sustain with our customers. So we need money, but it is not the objective of making money. So that's what happened is now minimum 5% of our revenue, especially the profit part, it is going to research and development. And we are into ships and offshore classification and advisory. Then we are into energy advisory, certification, verification, inspection, and related things, and management system certification, and supply chain and product assurance. So when it comes to management system certification, actually it is only a very small portion of our total business, what we are doing uh, right now. And in fact, we are working with even United Nations also on a lot of different research and development programs. And we have our own software platforms and digital solutions that will help us to do this activity. And this is at the high level, actually, what we are focusing and where we should be like certify, verify, and test against standards, specifications, and regulatory requirements. Then quality and assure of new technology systems, data platforms, supply and value chains. And then we are there for the technical advice with respect to safety, technology, and commercial risk and operations management. And we are there for to co-create the standards, new rules, software, and recommended things. And we are a part of many standard developing committees within even ISO, even outside also with the IEEE, or even with NIST also. We are closely working with them to develop many standards. And our purpose is to safeguard life, property, and environment. And our vision is to a trusted voice to tackle the global transformations. And this vision we have recently changed. Previously, we had another vision, but now because the globe is, dynamically changing, and everybody wants to transform their business either digitally or into another area. So that is the reason we thought our vision should be a trusted voice. So how we can help the business, how we can help an individual to transform. So that's where we identified, okay, this will be a better vision for us, along with our purpose, which has been there for many, many years, that to safeguard life, property, and the environment. And as I said, actually, we want to be a trusted voice in decarbonization, digitalization, and sustainability. This is on the many areas with the rapid technology development, increased regulatory pressure, business model valuation, increased need of transparency. This all, pushing us to and help the organizations how to make it less complex. And this is how at the organizational structure right now we have. We are a foundation, Det Norske Veritas Foundation, and this is based out of Oslo, Norway. That's where our headquarters is. And then within that thing we have the DNV group, and within Det Norske Veritas DNV Foundation we have a few other business also, but where we belongs is the DNV group, which is headquartered in Oslo, Norway. And we have six business units right now. That is on maritime, then energy systems, which talks about the fossil energy as well as the conventional and the new energy sources. And then we have the digital solutions, where we are helping our customers in digital assurance and related stuff. And then we have the supply chain and product assurance. This is where I belongs to right now. And then we have the business assurance unit, where they handle the management system certifications. And we have an unit called Accelerator. So they are primarily involving in cybersecurity and related stuff and medical technology. And we have our own artificial intelligence platform, that is the Veracity Assurance. And through Veracity also we provide a lot of online services to the customer. And definitely we have the group research and development, which is closely associating with the United Nations for many of the projects. And we have our own team shared services which supports us. So this is at the very high level, and these are at the different areas our capabilities are. So I'm not going detail into those things. So here I was talking about a trusted partner in digital transformation. Now, when it comes to digital transformation, we understand that digital assurance services and privacy assurances also plays a very important role with respect to digital transformation. At the end of the day, it is all about the trust and confidence on the customer, trust in technology and data. That's what where we need to all focus on. So that's the reason actually we want to be these trusted global provider for software, digital solutions, and all other related stuff. And Coming to the assurance part, actually, again, as I said, we are there to help the companies to develop that trust and ensure that because we always believes on the trust within the organization or even outside with our customers, the trust is the most important factor for us, and it is important to build the confidence among the customer and build the business also. So that's the reason actually we always consider trust as a very important factor in our overall structure of DNV. And then we have digitalization, sustainability, and assurance also. These are different areas which we work. Now coming to FDPPI DNV collaboration. Now you might be asking why this collaboration is required. So I will why this partnership is important for us, because now you all know what is FDPPI and where you are all working, or we are all the members of the FDPPI, and it's a reputed foundation with a similar professional minds who are all interested in privacy and data protection. Okay, and wherein, as I mentioned, actually DNV is an organization with an objective to safeguard life and life, property, and environment. And now where we both joins together is on the privacy, and especially on the privacy and cybersecurity. We can see that now these violations, see, for information security, the violations never leads to the physical harm, but now any violation to the privacy, or most of the violations to the privacy, or even cybersecurity also, it is not ending at a data loss or an information leakage or nothing like that. And many cases actually it is leading to physical harm and even the life of an individual. So that's where we thought we need to partner with somebody who is an expert in privacy, because privacy is going to be an area, and now including India, most of the countries are either they have their own privacy regulations including GDPR, or they are in the process of coming out with their own privacy requirements. Like I mean, in India also it is in pipeline. Probably we will have it in soon, but we have to be ready for it. So that's how through Ramesh, and then Ramesh introduced me to Navi sir, and we had a multiple round of discussions, and then we realized that this is the right place and right time, so we can shake hands together and create a new foundation for the privacy and awareness in India. So that's how actually all this discussion started, because at the end of the day we are all talking about the individuals, the privacy of an individual or privacy of an organization, because at the end of the day if we don't protect the privacy of an individual, then we will not be able to protect the privacy of an organization, because it's all related. So this is the reason actually where we thought actually if we join together, it becomes a solid organizations with a common objectives. And it not only that, and we both, FDPPI and DNV, we are good in our own areas. And if we join together, we will be able to extend our reach to other areas as well. For example, DNV, as I mentioned, DNV have 100,000 odd customers in across the globe, and in India alone we have more than around 5,000, 6,000 customers. So it's where actually where we can spread this awareness about the privacy. See, nowadays what happened is, even though privacy is becoming as a rule, most of the cases it is known only among some of the IT organizations, ICT industry, or maybe some cases in the hospitality industry or in the healthcare industry. But other industry sectors are completely non-aware about what is privacy or what is coming to them actually, whether even especially with respect to their softwares or their existing processes. They're completely unaware that okay, they have it to go through a massive change when this law comes out. So are they prepared to do that thing? No, they're not prepared for it. And if you see our most of this privacy requirements, we can see that there are many people from the IT organizations are part of it, and sometimes we can see that our IT industry flavor also in our privacy laws. I mean, that's fine, because we know the systems also very well. We know actually the requirements, and we know other regulations as well. So that will help us to mold it in a better way. But when it becomes a law, it is applicable to everybody. Okay. And this is where the biggest challenge in India is. I should say around 90% of the industry, or that percentage should be more actually, more than 90% of the people or the organization, they're completely unaware about it. They're not prepared for it. They don't know if this law becomes an reality, then they don't know what they have to do it. This is where we need to focus. We need to create that awareness among the people, among the organizations, because there is a penalty clauses also, so that will economically also it is going to harm them. So this is where we need to focus on and help the organization, help the businesses to create that awareness. And this is where we have a bigger role to play with FDPPI and you all the professionals there in FDPPI, and then with the DNV, with our expertise, with our customer database, and where we can work together and create this foundation, create this platform for privacy, and definitely create a foundation also, and create that awareness among the people. So the rest of the things I feel actually, I mean, from the business, I'm not thinking from the business perspective, whether the money perspective. The objective is, okay, how we can create this awareness among the people. So that's what actually I always believe, that this partnership is going to help the organizations to increase their reach and to awareness to bigger audience. And how this partnership is going to help the organization. So we are committed to improve the awareness on the Personal Data Protection Bill, privacy principles, and privacy guidelines among the organizations. And as I mentioned, FDPPI with a strong foundation privacy, and DNV with a strong branch in assurance, together we can provide that confidence internally and externally to the organizations. That is very important, because that is another point why we can join together, because the trust. And if we want to have that trust, then we need to have that confidence. So how to build that confidence? That confidence internally within the organization, or with externally. Now, as a stakeholder of that organization, or as a customer of an organization, or a supplier of an organization, now I may be dealing, or I may be sharing my privacy or personal information with them, or my client's personal information with them actually. But on what confidence I'm going to give to them actually, what they're going to do with this information, nobody knows. Nowadays we can see a lot of challenges with respect to the the COVID patients. Their information is getting leaked, and it is being actually exploited for many business purposes and other things. So this means that actually the organization, the confidence on, especially now if we see the actually, sorry to say, but the confidence on the healthcare organizations in protecting the privacy of the personnel or the patients, actually it is very low. So how we can help the healthcare industry to bring back that confidence on their customers or the patients, or even to their suppliers. Okay, similarly the same thing is applicable for most of the industries. So this should help, this partnership will help to bring that confidence internally and externally to the organization. That is very important. And not only that, many cases actually now if you see the supply chain, and supply chain is somewhere we have an supplier, and then it is something is subcontracted and further subcontracted like that. And at the end of the day, it is organizational data, or the people's data, or the personal information that is being supplied down the line. Now, if there are 10 organizations in that supply chain, how do we ensure that all these 10 people, or all the 10 organizations in the supply chain is going to comply to the primary requirements? See, mostly it will happen, maybe the first case, okay, or the direct supplier, first supplier, they will be able to comply. But when it comes to the subcontractor, subcontractor, and we can see that this compliance level is diluting. So this is where we need to give that awareness to the people. And this is where I believe that actually our standard PDPSA is going to help us, and our training programs also going to help us. And we are going to talk about the data trust score. So this rate, whenever we have the data trust score, this is going to help the organization to compare themselves with their competitors or their peers either in the same industry or in the other industries. And definitely the increased level of understanding with respect to privacy regulations and related legal challenges. So this is where we need to focus on. And now coming to our partnership model actually. So here we are targeting on mainly two things. One is on the data trust score that is based on our standard. And second one is the whatever the modules, the training modules which we have developed, and how we can, extend this training to more and more people, so that that we can create that awareness and expertise in the market. That is very important. So now you are all familiar to those things, actually, data trust score and what is data trust score and how it is measured, because it's all it's part of our FDPPI discussions, and how effective an organization is protecting the data required under the PDPA, and DTS is mandatory, and this is where we need to help the this is how where we can help the organizations also. And right now, in the model how we are going to work. So in general, we are going to develop primarily based on the existing standards and training programs, and plus we are going to develop more and more privacy or related service offering under the co-branding of FDPPI and DNV. So this whatever we delivered, it will be under the co-branded. For example, if it is a certificate, it will be a co-branded certificate of FDPPI and DNV. And we have worked out a kind of a logo kind of thing where both the logos will be there for that certificate. And with the DNV as an assurance organization, and with FDPPI, with the you are all part of the FDPPI as a member. So definitely I believe that this logo, this combined logo is going to create another trust mark in the market. And typically there are three types of projects where we have agreed to work on it. One is there are projects which is completely owned by FDPPI, and there are projects completely owned by DNV, and there are some projects where we can work together also. So we have categorized this thing into different categories, like if it is owned by FDPPI, then we have a category 1, and if it is owned by DNV, then it will be by category 2, and if it is owned jointly, then we will consider this as an FDP as a category 3. And we have worked out a detailed working model for each category, and how we are going to share the resources mutually. So we have worked out a plan how to do it. And at the high level, these are going to be the 3 different type of categories of our partnership. And then based on whenever we are doing an assessment, or if there is especially doing the assessment or data trust score assessments, actually it will be reviewed jointly. It is not like, for example, if DNV does an assessment, then definitely the technical experts from FDPPI are going to review that report before delivering to whether this assessment is done correctly or not. So those things are going to be there. And similarly, actually, whenever it comes to FDPPI, so it will be like a joint activity which we are going to do it, especially for the technical review. And similarly, it will be for the training part also. And again, it will be applicable wherever this co-branded we are going or pitching for the co-branded certificates or co-branded activities. Otherwise, FDPPI have the complete freedom or complete right to do their own things, actually. So there is no hindrance or restriction to any such things. So whatever these things we do together, it will be under the co-branded certificates. Okay, so this is at the high level about our partnership. Now, maybe Navi sir, you would like to add something here?
Yeah, so thank you, Rajiv. And friends, in fact, this is a very important day for us. After we started our activities in 2018, we started doing a lot of things, but we were more or less trying to develop new systems. And in most of our efforts, actually, we were working entirely on our own. Of course, in these 2 years, we did make some progress in setting up the certifications, the 3 important certifications which we developed for module on Indian law, module on global laws, and the module on the audit skills. So together now we have good, you can say, program to develop the skills of people for developing a practice on data protection, compliance related audit, and say some kind of services to the companies. And the DTS was one of the things which we developed along with the PDPSI framework. And today we are very happy to see that DNV, which is a leading, you can say, management certification company on its own, has found that there is some complementary, you can say, benefit for both of us if we come together. Of course, the number of customers which DNV has got is far higher than what we have at this point of time, because we are a specialized institution. We can talk about our expertise, but in terms of our reach to the industry, we still have a long way to go. And this particular collaboration brings the privacy knowledge-based FDPPI together with, you can say, the audit-related expertise available with DNV, along with its customer reach, which cannot be actually developed overnight. If it has taken 157 years, yes, it does take a long time to develop 1 lakh customers on a global scale. And even in India, to have 5,000, 6,000 customers is a very great achievement. And we are proud that we are able to join hands with DNV. Earlier, I think it was called DNV GL, and now we are calling it as DNV. Now, we feel that, of course, it may take a little time for us to completely roll out and then contact prospective customers, and prospective customers need time to develop the perception of looking at FDPPI as FDPPI plus DNV and DNV as DNV plus FDPPI. There will be some time required. Initially, of course, we are going to make offers to our customers that they have the choice of taking the certifications as well as any audit related things as a co-branded offering. Obviously, the co-branded offering, we may have to offer at a slightly higher price than what we were doing until now, but for the value addition, which we are bringing in with the expertise and also the very name of DNV itself, I think it will be reasonably well received, even in the training area. Now, when it comes to the audit area, of course, we expect that we will be able to add value to DNV, because in this DTS system, we are the first organization in India to develop some kind of a model. Okay, this model itself may undergo a lot of changes. Today, we have, after about nearly 2 years of deliberation, at least at my level, I have been working on this DTS system for more than 2 years. Because as you know, initially I called it as 5x5 DTS system, and now we have moved on to a different model. Basically, we are trying to make an assessment over 50 different parameters of compliance and evaluate the maturity of the organization in each of these particular 50 implementations parameters, and then arrive at a weighted representation of the overall privacy compliance status of the organization. Of course, when the Data Protection Authority comes into being, we expect that the DPA is going to come up with codes and practices, including one for DTS calculation. But I think what we have done will perhaps add to the requirement of the DPA itself, and they may be able to take our scheme and either accept it in toto or at least make some minor changes and try to develop their own codes and practice. So we feel that we have already made some progress in establishing a system as far as DTS is concerned. We hope that will be standing out as the leading system as we go forward. We expect that in the marketplace, there can be 2 or more such DTS systems which may develop after the DPA comes in. We are sure that organizations like DSCI will also come up with their own DTS system. I will be surprised if they don't do it. If we can do it as a small organization funded by our own members and not by any great corporate entity with our resources. Of course, our resources are not to be belittled because we may not have money, but we have professionals. Okay, we have 200 members, each of whom is a great resource in either data protection or law or in say information security, and that collective strength is what we are trying to use. But going forward, we are prepared to take on a competitive DTS system, which may come from the DSCI or it may come from the Big Four. We don't know. In fact, it has to come. So if there is a comparable DTS, I will be happy to make our DTS stand out, and then people will be able to distinguish and find out. Now that we have our say training systems, people are today capable of comparing the certified data protection professional as per FDPPI training and compare it with the content which is being provided by let us say CIIP kind of training. Now, people are also going to see what is the price difference, whether I should pay $750 for knowing about GDPR from a certification agency, which is AIPP, or within 30,000 rupees. That is what we are now offering for 3 different modules of Module I, Module G, and say audit. I'm sure discerning professionals will soon realize that what FDPPI is offering is something which is a very huge value for money. And what we are going to do now with the DNV is further add to this, not only in the training area, but also in the area of audits. Even today I had a discussion with another say organization for SMEs and MSMEs, and we wanted to take this awareness to the SMEs and MSMEs on an all India basis. So in all such efforts, our association with the DNV will add strength to us, and I'm sure when the DPA comes, we will have an opportunity to go and meet whoever is the DPA, and I'm looking forward to that meeting with the DNV people so that we can present to the DPA. By that time, we would have done some DTS assessments, and then we can even present it as case studies, and then perhaps try to make our position stronger. So I am very happy with this kind of a collaboration, and I would like now all of you to raise whatever questions you have got in your mind, because we now have certain certification bodies. We have got about 30 plus people who have been certified for conducting audits or providing consultancy under PDPSI. This weekend, we are going to have one more level of training to this PDPSI certified auditors, because we know that these things are not learned overnight. Okay, we need to actually put in a lot of efforts. Ramesh is working on that. And with all those things, we are trying to actually develop the ecosystem for PDPSI based audits. And I want all of you to understand the benefit of this collaboration. So I now look forward to you raising any questions so that I and Rajiv can answer whatever questions you have in your mind about how we can make use of this collaboration and take it further.
Yes, sir. Navi sir, Samir here.
Yeah, tell me.
My question is, if you go to the previous slide where the type of partnerships are defined.
Yeah.
Level 1, level 2, level 3, something was there, no?
Three categories, yes.
So my question is, what is the criteria of defining the partnership internally? And from a customer point of view, is it based on the ownership of the customer, that who brings the customer, whether DNV brings or we bring, or?
No, not necessarily. We have defined it 3 ways, because we are an organization who is doing some work today. DNV is an organization which is doing some work today. So we don't want this collaboration to be felt as if I will be restricting DNV from doing their own activity or they will be restricting our own activity. So we said that if you want to do certain things on a non-co-branded basis, if you want to continue, please do it. If I want to do it, I will also do it. But if we decide that we want to make an offer on a co-branded basis, then we have a revenue sharing at the top level. That is without taking into account the efforts. Okay, whether I do the project or they do the project, once a co-branding comes, we have a revenue sharing which happens like the royalty sharing. Now, after that, then the question of who will execute the project will come. So suppose there's a training program which say only FDPPI members handle. That is what we are calling it as owning. In the sense, execution is owned by FDPPI. So DNV resources in terms of manpower is not used. Let us say I am doing a training program entirely done by Vijay Shankar or something like that. Now that is considered as owned by FDPPI. Similarly, DNV may do a program entirely by their members, maybe training or maybe even the audit, but it is presented as a co-branded. Then there is no effort from FDPPI. So that is one category 1 and category 2. But as we move forward, there will be need for even sharing the resources. Like we have, let us say, an audit program in which one of my auditors will be working and maybe 2 of DNV people are working, or in their client module, some training is to be done. And there will be some sessions taken by DNV people and some sessions will be taken by us. So there could be this shared projects. Now in those shared projects, on a project to project basis, we will agree that this is your effort and this is my effort. Therefore, the revenue will be shared in a slightly different manner based on the efforts. So that is all the categorization. When we say owned, it doesn't mean that I have marketed or they are marketed. In fact, the moment the word goes out in the market that we have such a system, all marketing will be considered as joint marketing. Say, I cannot go and tell some customer that I am marketing it, I want to take more revenue than DNV or something like that. We will just say that this is an offering in co-branded name. Only if somebody wants, let us say, a less expensive thing and say that we want to give extra concessions or something like that, which perhaps may not be feasible. That is the only occasion when we may have a, you can say, the legacy model of one organization giving only its branded service. But I want to move into a situation where most of our future projects, after whatever is in the pipeline, are cleared, because whatever is in the pipeline, we might not have given the offer as a co-branded thing. So we have given certain quotations based on the execution to be done only by us. But as we go forward, we will incorporate these co-branded programs and we will be starting to offer a co-branded offer. And if it is possible, we would like to retain that as the main model. And we don't want to actually have, some assignments where we are keeping them out. And I don't want them also to think of keeping us out, because we have a revenue sharing model, which is very, very moderate. And I'm quite happy to say that it is not only me who is not, revenue, conscious kind of a thing, not greedy enough. Rajiv also has been quite a game for that. So the revenue sharing at top level is very moderate. So neither of us will feel that there is a need for us to actually go into our own kind of marketing. And probably this joint, this thing will bring in a little more discipline, because whatever we do, we are going to create a coordination committee with 2 people from our side and 2 people from their side, and we will be meeting periodically. And in those meetings, we will be exchanging this prospective clients. If they have got a client and I have to go and speak and market it, I will be quite happy to do it. And at the end of it, if you don't get business, I will not look at it as a wastage of my time and effort, because we are marketing for the benefit of both the organizations. When it's actually rolled out, maybe at that time we will look at the effort and cost or mandates involved, number of mandates of their people and number of mandates for us. Whereas at the top level of marketing, from my side, I am always available to offer my services for the joint co-branded marketing, and we will continue to do that. That is what we call as category 1, 2, and 3. Okay, all projects, to the extent possible, we would like to make it as a co-branded project. Then in terms of execution, if I want their people to work and I have to actually take their mandates into consideration, then it becomes a joint project. But there may be a few projects where I may not use any of the manpower of DNV. We will do everything ourselves. Those are the things which you see as category 1. And they may have some projects in which they don't need anybody from FDPPI to be involved in the execution. That will be the category 2. And all are on equitable basis. That is, whatever revenue sharing program is there for us, it is a mirror as far as they are concerned. So we have not kept any kind of a distinction. And though we are a smaller entity and they are a bigger entity, we have still kept it at an equal basis. And that is where I appreciate that this particular relationship is being built on mutual trust and confidence. On our side, we are investing our knowledge, and on their side, they are investing their, you can say, marketing reputation. And we hope together, that is where the complementary things come. It is not that they are also doing what we are doing. They are strong in one area, we are strong in the complementary area, and together we will be stronger in both aspects. It's like 2 + 2 is not 4, 2 + 2 may be greater than 4. And that is what we are trying to achieve.
Sir, I want to interrupt.
Sir,
Everybody should give huge round of applause for this particular venture for ourselves as well as for DNV to collaborate with FDPPI. So it is a great day for all of us. So we should at least presently clap and celebrate this particular moment. So I request everyone to unmute and please have a huge round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
Navi sir, the answer is still not clear to me. I think I'll talk to you separately. I have one question.
You please raise your doubt. I will be able
Yeah,
to
for example, of course, as we all agree, DNV is a much larger organization than FDPI. Point number 1.
Yeah.
Point number 2, the work that DNV does and the work that FDPI does, there is no overlap between the two, except while the presentation was on, I opened the website of DNVGL and I could see that they are doing work around GDPR. So DNV is kind of overlapping into our work because they already have expertise on GDPR, and for them to get expertise on Indian law is left. Point number 3, because the work of the two organizations are clearly defined, we are doing privacy, they are doing ISO, quality, and like I said, mentioned GDPR, SCM, so many things, blockchain they are doing. The collaboration, see, you discussed a case where we take GNV to customers. We take DNV to customers. How will that happen? The whole world already knows about DNV. Us taking DNV to a customer, I don't understand that part. It's DNV who has to take us. For example, DNV has 10 buttons on their website. It has blockchain, it has supply chain management, it has quality management, it has ISO, all these things. They also have GDPR. I was under the impression that DNV will offer FDPI services as a add-on module to the 10 modules they already have. Now, help me understand, maybe Mr. Rajiv can answer that. And is that the model, or is there something else that is not clear to me?
Definitely, this model we are going to make it public. Okay, in our including in our website, it will be available, and definitely, I mean, we will take FDPP also along with us. That is different. And see what this model, what Navi sir also trying to explain. It is not on getting a customer or who get the customer. It is about the execution. I'm just giving a high-level example. For example, now
Rajiv sir.
Yeah.
My execution I understand. I understand because DNV has their expertise, which is clearly known to the whole world. FDPI has their expertise, which is at least known to people concerned with this business in India. So
Okay.
the delivery is clear. If it is a delivery about supply chain, about quality, about whatever expertise you have on your website, ISO certifications, of course, that you will deliver. And anything to do with PDPB, which is Indian law, we will deliver. Clear. Now the question is, what is the marketing plan? That's what my question is. Very basic, one line.
Okay. So the marketing plan is, there are two types of plans which we are thinking about it. One is on through our internal channels, through DNV's digital marketing. So we already prepared a brochure, joint brochure for us, and it's a service portfolio also. And we are going to circulate. We already, I mean, in Pearson, I mean, a few cases we have circulated, but we are going to do it in a massive way with all of our customers. And there we are introducing FDPPI, and there we are going to introduce what FDPPI does in this particular domain, and what is the kind of partnership we have, and what will be the advantage of the joint services. So that's what we are going to do it. So that through our digital marketing, we are doing it. I mean, first there will be a mailer will go to all customers, and then we are going to publish in our social networking platforms, and even LinkedIn also you will be able to see it soon. This is one way of doing it with our existing customers and maybe with the potential customers. And
Okay.
second thing, what we are doing is we are already finalized a day for the webinar. Okay, that webinar that will be which will be available to everyone, and we are also planning to have a meeting with of all the CISOs and especially the DPOs of in India, or the designated people who is going to handle the privacy. Okay, so we are going to have different sessions with them. That's also we are going to do it. So definitely this whatever we talk to the customer, or whatever communication we are giving to the customer, it will be like a FDPPI, DNV joint or co-branded one. So it will not be highlighted like it is just a DNV service. So whatever we are going to do it with the PDPSI and or DTS or later training or assessment, or whatever the new services or products which we are going to develop, it will be under this banner only.
Okay. All right. I'll discuss in detail. Okay. Fine. Please carry on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? Kodan Raman, you have got anything? Kodan Raman is not.
So there are some suggestions also in the chat box. Maybe Ramesh can help us with if any questions are there.
Yeah.
See that some of the question, Rajiv, like one with from Deepak is asking, if an organization wants to go in for a certification, what would the certification entail? And will the certification auditors be from FDPPI or DNV?
Deepak, which kind of certification you are talking of? You tell me whether you want a CDPP certification, or you want an ISO 27001 certification, or a PDPSI based privacy certification.
Yes, so what initially I thought was
You are not audible.
Deepak, there is some
members
problem.
will help establish a privacy framework.
No, so yeah, you say if a privacy framework is to be established under the PDPSI system, which leads to DTS, it will be a co-branded PDPSI based audit. Now, execution can be done by us, can be done by them, or can be done by a joint team. Okay, so we will have a revenue sharing based on how many man days of their consultants were involved, how many man days of ours is involved. That is for the execution. Okay, now you said whether it is a tri-party agreement. Now we have got a back-to-back agreement now between us and DNV. So whoever markets it and signs off, there is no need for the other party to join in the main, you can say, agreement. So for example, I can say sign a contract for a co-branded audit And that will also, if I present it as a co-branded offer, then it is my responsibility to get DNV involved to the extent it is necessary. So we don't want to say that in every signing, all the three parties will be there, but we have in the back end a coordination committee. So any marketing which we do, we will be sharing in that coordination committee, and we will have the approval of the other party before we conclude the agreement for certification. Okay, so we will have a backroom consultation amongst ourselves on a fortnightly basis or whatever basis, and if something urgent has to be done, we will somehow be able to contact each other, and anything which we sign as a co-branded assignment, we will ensure that it is it carries the concurrence of the other party. Okay, so as far as the client is concerned, I would like to say that we would like to offer it as a co-branded item, which either of us will be able to offer. Okay, so this is the beauty of the collaboration agreement as compared to, let us say, now any other say business arrangement. This is not an ordinary business arrangement. This is a collaboration where both of us would like to work for both of us. Okay, execution, obviously we will not have equal participation on a case-to-case basis. It has to be decided, and we will coordinate it in the coordination committee. Okay, does it answer your?
Sir, am I?
Yeah.
Sir, am I audible now?
Yeah. Yeah, please.
Yes.
Please go
So
ahead.
what I understood is, yes, what I understood is there would be segregation of duties in the manner that FDPPI will help the organization establish a privacy framework, assist it in the implementation of that framework, and do the necessary trainings, make sure that one round of internal audit and those things are done, and then DNV comes at an appropriate time and certifies it as per PDPA or maybe as
No, not like that.
is that how? Okay.
It's not like that. Say, for example, if I take a contract, if I think this, we will have a backroom discussion, as I told you. And if we say that we are going to execute it entirely ourselves, it is the call of this joint committee. Okay. So we will have a revenue sharing of a particular nature, theoretically. Yeah, that is where it is entirely owned by FDPPI. Okay. Category 1. Now, in another case, it may be category 2 where they own the project implementation completely. But as we go forward,
is that how? Okay.
Yeah, in most of the cases, we may need to have each other's assistance. Okay, if that becomes necessary, we will agree on the backroom channel of how many of your consultancy hours is required, how many of our consultancy hours is required.
Yes.
But these are all internal, and we don't want to confuse the customer, saying that one person will do it and other person will override that or something like that. The offer is always joint because it is a collaboration arrangement. It is not one below the other. It is both of us together. Okay. So when you offer this to the organizations, you have to say that it is FDPPI DNV joint project. Okay. I don't mind whether you call it as FDPPI DNV or DNV FDPPI. That is immaterial. The two are there. It is a co-branded offer. The offer can be on training. The offer can be on audit. In either case, it is a joint offer. So leave it to us in the coordination committee to coordinate with each other so that we will be able to sort out if at all there is any need to sort out. But what we have agreed is that before we sign off a contract under the co-branded thing, the other party is aware that this is being done like this. And maybe at that time, they are also agreeable that this will be done in this particular fashion. I will contribute or I will not contribute. Even if they don't contribute, there is a revenue sharing. And when they contribute, the revenue sharing will be the top level sharing plus the effort-based sharing. So that is how we have made the arrangement that even if my effort to one of their listing is zero, maybe if it is a co-branded project, we feel that in the marketing, we have made use of their brand name. Suppose I go to a customer and give a brochure as a co-branded thing, and even if they say, no, Vijay Shankar, you only have to do the training, still I have already used the DNV name. So it will be considered as a project in which DNV's interest is there, and we would honor that. But if in the execution, if we need to have DNV people also, then the sharing will be larger to that extent, because the second level sharing will be based on effort. First level sharing is just for sharing the name. Second level sharing is on efforts. Okay.
I think Deepak have one more question related to COI, conflict of interest. So his question is, if FDPP and DNV does both, wouldn't that be viewed as a conflict of interest? So that part we discussed, Deepak, actually, and we will ensure that there is no COI. Because whatever the standard we have, actually, it is internally with the FDPP and DNV. So we will ensure that the same people who are part of that either training or maybe as an advisory, they will not be part of that assessment. And it will be done by and separate. The review of those reports will be done by a separate team. And rather than it will be a certification, typically we will like to call it as a statement of compliance kind of thing. The organization is compliant to all these requirements, and because it is our internal thing. Typically, when we call certificate, there will be an accreditation body on top of it, and it will be issued from them. And right now, we don't have that mechanism, so it is between we both. So it will be like a statement of complaints, and we will ensure that there is no conflict of interest.
See, in any arrangement like this, there will be certain issues which would not be clear today, and we have to handle it as and when the issue arises. And both of us are committed to ensuring that we will be sorting out, if at all any such issues come up, to the best of the mutual satisfaction. And that is why we have kept it as an arrangement in which we are not actually forcing somebody, the other party, not to do something like that. Okay, it is left to our own wisdom to bring most of our business related to this collaboration into the joint co-branded project, so that as we go forward, let the market look at us as one single team. I think at least in the privacy, let them have their business in other areas and other things. I am not bothered about it. Now, today they may be having the GDPR. If they want to do GDPR separately, let them do it. I will not consider it as a conflict of interest. You know that we are having the supporting member system where also you can say conflict is there, but we have created an arrangement where conflicts are resolved by a revenue sharing rather than not allowing the other person to do anything. So we are looking at the positive way of doing things. So if they are doing GDPR entirely on their own, maybe outside India, we have got no right to ask them to bring that also into our fold. Okay, but if, for example, in India, if there's a GDPR project, if they feel that including our co-branded name is beneficial, then it is open to them to make it a co-branded project. The same thing applies to us. We may not be very much interested in an ISO 27001 audit or something like that. We are going more on the privacy related audits. But if there is an occasion where we have a client who wants an ISO audit, I may say that this will be done by the DNV team, but I would have marketed as a co-branded project, but execution will be 100% done by DNV. So we will have that mutual benefit. We don't look at it as a conflict. Okay, so, and if at all anything like that crops up as we go ahead, because number of people will be involved and other things, we will sort it out. I have confidence that I can work with Rajiv, and also we have had a discussion with their country head also, Mr. Prakash, and we will be able to sort out whatever issues come up.
And also, Mr. Navi sir,
Yeah,
if we can update the team,
yeah.
that we are also in the process of working on the code of ethics with respect to consulting as well as for the auditing, right?
Yeah.
Like what we should follow
Thanks.
and etc.
Thanks, Ramesh sir. That was my next question.
Yeah. So I great. Because the Deepak question is valid. As we understand that, like typically how an accreditation body works, who does the consulting, who does the auditing, and etc. We are also in the process of making this process. Okay, myself and Navi at this point, we are applying our mind. We will also be coming out in the, with the kind of our community. Once when it comes to the kind of baseline level, we all will apply our mind. And as he said, a very important bullet, as we go along, as we hit the kind of roadblock, obviously we'll go back and update our processes based on that kind of instance and experience. I'm sure all these things would get addressed. The point here is that, as Mr. Navi said somewhere in his talk, 200 plus, people, and with the DNV kind of expertise in terms of auditing system. And there are lots of stalwarts in our group, as we all know. One, Mr. Govind Srinivasan, I can quickly, like so many. So we all will apply our mind, break our head, come out with a kind of foolproof system to ensure that it's also being recognized outside by the outside world. Yeah, I hope. Correct, no, Navi, sir?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh, sir.
Yeah.
Because we are from the space of consulting,
Yeah.
Mahalakshmi here.
Right.
So that was one of my questions to the team and
Correct.
Navi sir.
Right.
Because how do we, segregate as consulting
Absolutely.
firm
Right.
and auditing and certification and
No,
all
Right.
that?
so we are coming out with the documentation on that, as Mr. Ramesh said. We
Yes,
are
sir.
trying to segregate, say, auditing and consultancy, in the sense that the same auditor will not be a consultant for the same company or something like that.
Perfect, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
that we are bringing in. Okay, somebody will do the consulting, somebody else will do the auditing for the same company. But when people like you, when you offer the certification in the coming days, because your company is also one of the certification bodies which would like to do PDPSI,
Yes,
you
sir.
can offer it today onwards as PDPSI DNV offer. Okay, whatever, say, I will separately, we have already exchanged the particular terms of
Correct,
contract,
sir. Yes, sir.
and there is a particular fee you are supposed to transfer to us. Now,
Okay, sir.
in this PDPS, in the joint project, we will actually slightly up the fees which we have indicated in that particular schedule. Okay,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
that is the only change which is going to happen. In fact, you can start working on the next offerings if something is not in the pipeline, as the DNV plus FDPPA offering. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir.
As far as the client is concerned, you quote whatever is required. On the back end, whatever you are sharing, we are separately sharing, and we will discuss with the DNV that how we will share. Of course, we have got a very moderate fees set for this sharing under our current system. I will later on discuss this with Mr. Rajiv.
Sure, sir.
And when we, if it is required to be raised a little, we will do that. Similarly, DNV has got its own fees structure, which is different from what we are having. So let them also take a look at what they are doing. And then perhaps we will, whatever differences are there, we will try to sort out. Right now, until today, we have been offering entirely FDPPI based offerings. Okay, so there is no issue, and whatever we have entered into a contract was based on that. Now, when we are adding this collaborative thing, there will be some adjustments which we have to do in terms of the fees sharing. That I will tell you separately. Okay, I will give it as an addendum to the current agreement.
No, my question, Mike, one last question, sir, because with respect to ISO 27701, in case if the client is going for that particular certification, how are we going to pitch in case if you have to pitch in through FDPPI?
I will ask Rajiv to give all his consultants. I may not be doing. In fact, there are a number of people in our team who are actually doing work for DNV in ISO audits even today. Okay, so we have that experts inside. In fact, Ramesh himself is one of the persons who has done such audits. There are other people also. So the ISO auditors are already within us also. So I will perhaps in such cases, we would like to have more of DNV involvement, and accordingly, the pricing and other things will have to be worked out. Okay. Before you quote to the customer, please take
we'll discuss definitely.
Take our consent, so that I will be able to talk to Mr. Rajiv in our coordination meeting, and get a concurrence. Okay, that
Perfect,
is
sir.
one
Perfect,
thing
sir.
you can try to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, Rajiv,
and,
if you want to add
Ramesh, sir.
anything, you can say.
Thank you
and
so much, sir.
one more thing I would like to clarify is from DNV side, the ISO certifications are actually done by a entirely different business unit now.
Okay.
So now we are part of the supply chain and product assurance. That is a different business unit. That's why we are able to do these things without any conflict of interest here.
Okay. Okay, sir. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Kodan Raman.
Good evening, sir. I heard both of you bits and pieces. There was some problem. But what I gathered here is it's a win-win situation where some positive movement is there. In India, the problem is we differentiate ourselves and get into smaller places and it is not possible to grow. Now, this is a time where we have to grow together. Let us not worry who is profited more or less. Let's get into the act and start expanding ourselves so that we will have a kind of a sovereignty in our working. DNV prosperity, FDPPI prosperity, or any other team comes, it doesn't matter. It's the Indian prosperity. Like that, we should think. I think the models you have worked out on branding certain amount and later on execution depending upon the people are working are very fine. They can be differentiated at later depending upon the man hours spent and the income that is coming. That is mutually we can agree to forego something or get something in another project. That should not differentiate our willingness and interest to work together. We shall work together for prosperity. Let's move it, sir. That's what I find.
Thanks. You are very much right, actually. And we are not worried about the revenue part. And to be fair, I mean, Avisar also agreed that actually revenue part, I mean, that is the least thing actually we were during all our discussions, actually we have considered. Okay. And our objective is to create this awareness in India, I mean, about the privacy, because I mean, it is not something, it's an easy task actually. So rather than revenue, our objective is to, I mean, create this awareness among people, organizations, and other things. Especially as I said, actually 90% of the organizations are not aware about privacy. Now, when this law comes, actually, what is going to happen to them? That is something actually we need to think about it.
Right.
Okay.
Ramesh sir, Abhay, a small query.
Yeah.
Ramesh sir, now since we as an FDPI members have been we have 200 members to working with last 2 years collaborating together, and we have now come to a level where the auditor thinks from an advocate angle or advocate thinks from an auditor angle also, and we are enriching our knowledge. But now when working with DNV, okay, we also would have to ensure that we meet their standards also, because they are known in the industry. So are we working for an FDPI members to get acquainted, or any training program as such where we two people can work to a single known standard which is there in the market?
Excellent.
Yeah. No, you raised a good question. Now, as far as the projects in which both of us will have to put in manpower efforts, obviously the skills of the people who are going to be used should be acceptable to everybody else. If I am using a DNV consultant, I should be happy that he will do what I want him to do. If they are going to use a consultant from FDPPI fold, they will also have to be satisfied. So basically, we are today looking at creating this collaboration. And then when a project is on hand, then we will have to decide who is going to be perhaps suitable. We may be giving training to them about PDPSI, DTS, and if they have got something on which they would like to advise us, we will definitely bring together and create an exchange platform where if they have a certain basic expectations of our people, we will have an interaction for interested people. Okay. But then suppose if they have got a project, they will have to actually take a call whether they will execute it with one or two of our people. And we have said these things will have to be done by supporting members. Okay, please remember that the supporting members alone are capable of executing revenue sharing projects for FDPPI. And these supporting members profiles are put up on the website. So whether it is Rajiv or somebody else in his team leader, he has access to knowing who are the supporting members available with FDPPI, whose services he can call for a given project. If the profile is not fully explanatory, then perhaps he may contact me or Ramesh to find out who is this person, whether we can use his services for a particular project and so on. So supporting members of FDPPI need to ensure that their profile and their product and services are properly displayed on the FDPPI website. Others may be involved in non-revenue sharing projects only. Okay, you please understand this difference. I hope Bhabai, you are aware of this. Okay, we have created the supporting member platform.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so those supporting members, basic information about them will be available on FDPPI website. I have already told that if necessary, I will give you a page. You write whatever you want, your CV there, or use your LinkedIn CV there. Now, if Rajiv finds something very attractive, then he will call me and say, next project, I want to use this gentleman. Okay, I have got no issue on that. If the FDPPI person is available for that particular time slot, let him be used. Okay, so that is how perhaps it will work. And at that time, if there are certain standards which they expect, and if those people, for example, for all those supporting members, if there is a need for a DNV person to talk and more than what we have discussed today, if he expects certain things, we will organize that interaction. Okay, so that there is a common understanding, because ultimately when we go to the market, it is a joint reputation which we will be presenting there. If my people fail or their people fail, it is the reputation of this co-branded entity which will suffer. So both me and Rajiv will be concerned about it. Now, how we will address it, we will see what best can be done. Yeah, Rajiv, you want to say anything?
You are right, actually. So we have, that's why we have created a steering committee, and there is an escalation team also available. So we have that, we have created that governance framework here.
Yeah. Yeah. Others, yeah.
Sir, Ashok here.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, as part of this, thank you again for conducting this along with PNV's collaboration. From the supporting members' perspective, for marketing collaterals, we need help in terms of facilitating the right things for publishing this to the outside world for FDPPI with DNV collaboration aspects.
Yeah, what I understand is Rajiv is working on some brochures, marketing brochures, which anyway they have to do it for sending to their clients. So we will share that with you, and we will have a common brochure which you can also use for marketing. Is it okay, Rajiv?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
See, ultimately, we need to do our own marketing also, so that DNV also should feel that they got some business from FDPPI. Otherwise, what is the use of our 200 members? Our 200 members actually are 200 prospective clients, perhaps for DNV. We have 5,000 plus 200, it is 20%. So we also have the capacity to add to their business. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a mutual one. It's mutual.
Yeah, it's a mutual. Yeah.
It's a mutual and equal. I mean.
Yeah. Manju, you have got anything to say? Rajesh? Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
nothing to add, sir. I'm just excited to be part of this collaboration. That's all.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Rajesh, you have got any thoughts?
Sir, actually, I have one question, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kind of benefit, what kind of benefit the FDPPI customers are going to get in case if there is kind of a joint venture, only the branding or any other thing which we are going to get benefited?
If necessary, we will bring their expertise.
Okay.
For example, if the audit involves an expertise which we don't have or they have in greater abundance, that audit team will contain a member from their side also. So to that extent, we will bring in expertise which is complementary to what we have.
Okay.
It has to be looked at on a case-to-case basis. of how much of effort we will be pulling from their side.
Actually, in this scenario, we have 3 certifications. I think FDPPI joint venture and the FDPPI and DNV. 3 certifications. If this is the case, so definitely the organization was looking at the kind of FDPPI and DNV. Is it a kind of a different level kind of value, brand value?
No, see,
or
as far as the execution support is concerned, there should be no difference. Okay.
okay.
We would like to do our best to market most of our services as a joint this thing. Unless some client has got a very specific need that I want only one, then we will go by the customer. If somebody wants only DNV to do and FDPPI not to be involved, I have no reasons to say that no, refuse that client. I will not tell DNV to refuse that client. You take that client, work on your own. It is not a co-branded project. It is a single branded project, which we have not barred each other to do. Okay. But we will do our best efforts to say that if both are involved, it is better. Some people may have a perception that then cost will increase. Okay. That is the only reason why they may say that, okay, I don't want a co-branded project. But as I told you, the revenue sharing model which we have arrived at doesn't become a burden on the other. If I am having a project of my own and I collect whatever remuneration I want, and I also add DNV, it is not going to be a back-breaking burden for me. That is how we have built. So same way for them also, if they are doing a project and they are doing all the effort, and if they continue to share a revenue with us, it will not be back-breaking for them also. So I think this will be handled on a case-to-case basis. Theoretically, if there is a situation where a customer doesn't like FDPPI, customer doesn't like DNV and say, no, I don't want that. That may be because of personal reasons. So somebody who is signing contract there may not like Vijay Shankar, so they may say that I don't want FDPPI, or the other way around. We will see if such things come up, we will handle it as long as we have trust in each other. If I trust Rajiv and Rajiv trusts me, I don't think this will become an issue.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Nagendra, you have got any thoughts? Yeah, anybody else, Reena?
No, sir, I put my comments on the. Yeah.
So we want our members to be confident that this collaboration is going to benefit FDPPI. Whatever benefits FDPPI will benefit all of us. And let us try to work in making this a success. Okay. See, in any professional field, it is not easy for two professional bodies to come together. Okay. If we are able to forge that relationship, that itself is a big achievement. If both of us can work out something beneficial, you will see that in the market, not many others will be able to forge such joint ventures. Say we are at least only 2 years old. Now, there have been other people who have been in existence for a long time. Did they anytime have an alliance forged? It has not happened. A collaboration has not happened of this type. But whereas we are trying to do that. So probably market will view this as a trendsetter, and others also will join. There are people who are competing with DNV, people who are competing with FDPPI. If we are coming together, they also will come together. Let them come. I think to that extent, we will be contributing to the overall development of the market. Okay.
In fact, sir, once the DPA is set up, once the law is in place, there'll be a lot of value which DNV will add to this joint partnership. And I think government will recognize its value very strongly. That's my reading of it.
Yeah, good observation. Yeah.
Can I ask a question, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Rajiv, I understand long back DNV had partnered with NASSCOM's DSCI, okay, for the certification itself, the audit, etc. For that particularly. I attended the training, and then the chief trainer himself said that we are signing up with the DNB and all. Going on, is it still,
It is
is in
still
progress?
there. It is still there. It is still there. But the interesting part with the DSCA is, I mean, they have only, I mean, 3 or 4 clients so far. I mean, who went for DSCA certification, and we are still doing for the work with the DSCA.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Navi sir,
Yeah,
any
no, if Dorai
okay.
Kannayan has got any views,
Durai?
Nikhil?
So I'm fine, sir. I'm
Yeah.
excited that right we have a new partnership, new era is going to come. So thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And see, this is just a beginning, and we need inputs from all of you, because as Navi sir rightly said, actually, I mean, there can be some issues which we have not anticipated right now. Maybe when we work together, I mean, we can expect that there can be some challenges or some issues will pop up. But I mean, as I said, actually, it is a trust, and we trust each other, and we will try to address those things with your help. So your support is very much required in order to take this venture to the next level.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, Ramesh.
Yeah, if team, if there is no any question, I would request Mr. Govind Srinivasan to share his final thoughts and give vote of thanks for this program. Please, Mr. Govind sir.
Ramesh, thank you. And just a few closing remarks, I would say, on behalf of all of you. Our guest is there, Rajiv. In many partnership to start with, you cannot cross all the T's and dot all the I's and only start the business later. The spirit is more important. And if the spirit is lackluster, I don't think that partnership will survive for long, even if there is plenty of money. Most partnerships that have made tremendous money have failed, because if it is the money is only the focus, the spirit is not there, and it is bound to break at some point of time. I think we all could see that Rajiv was listening very intently, patiently, and we all know about the passion which Navi sir brings to us with all the, the trapeze that he builds in the debate. It was fully evident where he really, applied his mind and was very reticent and very promotive. Both are necessary for a partnership to start, launch, and start sailing. That way, we had an excellent brainstorm today, which is very important. Everybody's question was answered to the best extent possible. But then the only thing is that we need to get business. That is the only thing, that if we are getting, say, 1,000 customers in a year, I think, that the DNB will look at us entirely in a different, way. And it is a brand image of FDPPI, which all of us have to build and carry further into the roads, drum it up. That depends upon the relationship itself with the DNB and vice versa. And today it was a more of a brainstorm. Review is always a part of dynamic partnership. So this is not something like an ironclad agreement, but it is a startup activity where the split is taking a leadership role, then the exact amount, etc. While everybody knows that there is money in business, without money, nothing moves. But if money alone is the prime motive and there is no enterprise, I think the business fails. We have seen a lot of examples like that. Today is a very, very memorable day for FDPPI to create a track on which it can travel. A certification body, DNB, that has got around about 1.5 century of staying in business. It has structure, it has processes, it has a system, and we are safe to start with in their, hand-to-hand, attraction to go further. And I should thank our chief guest, Rajiv, who really, made things easy for us to understand. and he did not, come with all the bells and whistles. The bells and whistles will always, that be necessary at a little later point of time. But today, the spirit is what, is important. He learned, he was patient in listening to everybody, and he was forthcoming with his own, that disarming way, how, that he is going to take it up. And repeatedly he was telling that this is a kind of an experimentation that DNV wants to do, with not with a closed fist, but with an open heart. And this is something, very, very important for us to know. And we should thank Mr. Nabi for, competing with his own, thought process. He's an innovator, and his innovation was in full spectrum today. And thanks to him, thanks to Mr. Rajiv, and thanks to all of you present here. And thanks for the opportunity for me to do the vote of thanks. We wish this partnership to sprout and to become a tree and a forest later. Thank you very much, every one of you.